I definitely had, that was definitely a iconic place in my growing up. Um, Kindergarten through ninth grade. And I talked about my mom put me in school early and such, and when we were going through my dad's stuff, I was looking at the boxes of stuff that he had saved, and one of the things he had saved was, well, my mom had saved, and he had saved, was the, what do you call it, the report cards and school things, and not a lot, there's just some in a box, and you know, not like every project or anything like that, but yeah, the report cards. And as I was looking through my report cards, I remember that, I saw that, you know, I mean, how what a bad student I was. I was just awful by those standards, you know. And it was, you know, all C's and D's, and very, yeah, kind of, you know, Michael could do better if blah 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 blah. And it you know, brought back just a ton of really just frightful feelings, feelings of inadequacy and feelings of being dumb, and being thought of as being dumb. And I went through a lot of special ed classes and such, because I would test off the charts. You know, they would do those aptitude tests and you know, progress tests and all this, and I would just be, I mean, I would just have these really great scores. You know, and I remember being in middle school, and what we would call middle school now, which was late elementary for me, like 5th, 6th grade, and testing with, like, you know, collegiate level scores in, like, reading and comprehension and all sorts of, just off the charts. I never did well in math, but on the same token, if you looked at my grades were, like I say, constantly C's and D's. And I always remember all through school feeling like I missed something, like I somehow missed that important thing, and if I just could go back and learn that one thing, it would all become clear to me, and I would be this amazing student. But you know, of course, that day never came. So I plodded right along as a CD student. I had 1 year, maybe it was my 8th grade year, I did pretty good. But other than that, man, I was in that part of the class that was upholding the upper half of the class. So, I'm pretty far down, actually. So yeah, so it, like I say, just looking at all those report cards, and I remember how it felt to be ashamed to bring those to my mom, and how we would always have that, well, you know, you're going to have to do less television and more homework and yada yada yada, and yeah, it just never seemed to make a difference. I think my learning style was just really different than what they were trying to present to me. But in each grade, I mean, I you know, had a lot of memories of different grades. You know, I had my biggest memories in kindergarten were, when I had memories in kindergarten. Remember, I ran through between 2 first graders, and I kind of like karate chopped them on both sides as I ran through, and they beat me up. Probably rightly so. But I remember having naps, nap time. Nap time was a big thing then. You know, everybody laid around in a circle with a little mat, and the teacher darkened the room, and everybody laid down and kind of rested for, I don't know how long it was. Could be 15 minutes, I don't know. I remember we would do these books. We would do like tapes, and you had to wear these little headphones, which were made of, I don't know, plastic or whatever, and they hurt your ears like crazy. I remember always never liking to wear them. And I remember doing that one time, and not being able to get the teacher's attention because I had to go to the bathroom, and each room had its own little toilet in it, a little like restroom, so little person size. And you had to raise your hand, of course, to be recognized to go to the bathroom. And I don't know what she was doing, but she couldn't get my attention. I couldn't get her attention, and so I peed in my pants, and how traumatizing that was. And I went to the same school for 10 years, and there's a core set of people that I went to school with basically the whole way through. And a young lady named Kim Petrock, and Kim had some developmental issues. You know, she had an eye problem, and you know, where she was always wearing a. Seemed like every other year she was wearing a patch on her eye from a surgery or something. And of course, all through school, Kim Petrock reminded me that I peed in my pants in kindergarten. You know, it was like, really, Kim? But in first grade, it was, I don't remember my teacher's name, but first grade, Mrs. Bryce. And Mrs. Bryce was, I recall her being an older woman. Her husband was an older man. He taught, I think he retired shortly after I got there, but he taught like 5th grade or 6th grade or something. And she taught first grade. And she was really big on stars. She would put little stars on your paper for doing a good job. And of course, me being Mr. CD student, never got any stars. And I remember one time I got stars, and I was like so happy. But I remember just feeling like, you know, I wanted stars, and I never felt like I'd reach the star level. In 2nd grade with Mrs. Sharon, who started out Miss something or other else, and I remember she was very pretty, and she had a really sweet yellow cougar, you know, that had blinkers that went bing, 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 and just everybody thought that was cool. So I don't remember too much else about 2nd grade. And 3rd grade, Mrs. I don't remember her name, but I remember I did not like her, and I think someplace the feeling was mutual. And I remember wanting really to be liked by the other kids in that class. And we were trading notes back and forth about how we didn't like Mrs. whatever her name was. And one of the students found my note and took it to the teacher and showed it to her, that this is what Mike wrote. And I remember being just petrified. That I was going to get in trouble somehow. And I actually left at lunchtime. I remember I ran all the way home. And I ran all the way home. And of course, when I got there, I couldn't breathe. But I was in a panic, and my mom, of course, wanted to know what happened, and so I told her I was sick, and I left at lunch. And because I was just so petrified of something happening. And yeah, and I don't know what happened after that. You know, I don't know if the school ever called or what, but nothing ever came of it. But I remember just that feeling of being just mortally petrified in the way that only a 3rd grader could feel. Feeling like my friends really downed on me. So, 4th grade, biggest memory of 4th grade is the girl starting to develop. That's probably my biggest recollection of 4th grade. I remember the room. I can't remember the teacher's name. And I started growing a little more then. Went from just one of the kids to, I was kind of in the taller boys crowd, but not exceptionally tall. Kind of first among equals sort of a thing. 5th grade, Mrs. Stover, and she liked me. She liked me. At some point, she thought I was a good kid, and I got an award for having the weirdest thing in my desk, which was a pair of socks. I probably got them wet playing outside, took them off, put my shoes back on, and left my socks in the desk, and that's where they sat for the rest of the year. But she I think she kind of favored me as a kid, which was nice. Sixth grade, Mrs. Wozniak. No big memories there. Nobody seemed to like Mrs. Wozniak, and I was in that crowd. In 7th grade, things start changing, at least at that time. And instead of being in one class all day for all subjects, you then went to a point where you were rotating in classes, and people were starting to pair up in 7th grade already. I mean, people, not so much 7th grade, but you could see like the 8th and 9th graders, you know, and they were starting to do the whole boyfriend-girlfriend thing, and at that stage. And so that was kind of a new dynamic to be around. But again, you're kind of like the underclassman now as a 7th grader, because you went to a new section of the building. It was all under one roof, but just it was in sections. And yeah, so not a lot of, again, not feeling super smart at that time. 8th grade is probably when I really started growing. I grew quite a bit, changed shoe sizes like 3 times in 1 year. Really literally went from like a 8.5 to an 11 in 1 school year. Had to get like 3 different pairs of gym shoes that year, literally. Despite how big my mom would buy them, I seemed to grow out of them. And she was a big one for buying them a size too big, which really made you very coordinated on the court. But thanks, Mom. Yeah, had my first crush on a girl, serious crush on a girl, young lady named Kathy Pertel. She was just, I thought she was so cute. And I actually took her on 1 date in 10th grade. Reached back into, find her and asked her out and took her to a football game. And that was the end of that. Wasn't magic, apparently. But yeah, that was kind of like that first time of kind of going through that changing class thing, and the hormones going, and the, you know, all that. And I didn't really have any bad memories in junior high. You know, a lot of the kitty stuff kind of stops, and develops all sorts of other issues. But ski trips, started going skiing then. My parents let me go on ski trips, and night, you know, like Monday night, we would go to the Playboy Club, and I think it was the best deal out by Lake Geneva, and we would ski out there, and that's kind of a lot of boy-girl pairing happened, but not for me. I was just too shy, too shy. Could not dream of having that sort of a conversation with a girl at that point. I was so incredibly shy at that age. Yeah, the whole, you know, I mean, I don't think you probably realize how shy I was. I mean, I was in the Boy Scout drum bugle corps, like it was 5th, 6th grade, and we had to do fundraisers to raise money to support the corps, and part of it was like there was candy sales, and there was what do you call it, wreaths, Christmas wreaths that we would sell. I literally could not go up to a door and ring the doorbell. I was so afraid. And of course, nobody really, to my recollection, you know, showed us how to do that. Nobody said, "Hey, here's a line to use." I was just absolutely petrified to do that. I think I sold three wreaths. One of my dad, one of my grandma, maybe one to each of my grandmas. I don't remember. But I just was so incredibly shy. I couldn't do it. The same way with in school. I was just too shy. Couldn't deal with the opposite sex. But yeah, so that was me. Feeling dumb, not having good grades, too shy to talk to girls. Wasn't a stellar success or standout student in any shape or fashion. So anyway, I have to get back to work. I love you, and I hope to hear from you soon.